is going to be harder than the last one. Swing and a miss by the Grim Reaper. You know what happens when the Grim Reaper gets a hit? You die. And this is dedicated to my dearest aunt who is dying right as I speak. But I don't want this to be sad or maudlin. I'll try to make it as funny as death can be. But see, the Grim Reaper has a really bad batting average because, as I said, gets a hit on you, you're dead. If he doesn't really hit you, if he gets a foul ball, maybe some property damage, maybe a broken bone, you never can tell. And then oftentimes it's a swing and a miss. Most people I know can tell you some story about, wow, I could have been dead. And so this happens to most of us, which is fortunately for all of us, the Grim Reaper has a lousy batting average. But he just comes up to bat and comes up to bat and comes up to bat, and we often have to defend ourselves against him. I've known cancer survivors who have said they looked death in the face and death blinked first. So I have a couple of stories that I would like to tell about narrow escapes of mine. The first one happened when I was in the Peace Corps in Nepal, and that's only important by the fact that I had to walk 4 miles to get where I wanted to go, and I knew that if I went 2 miles north instead of going back the way it was only 2 miles, I had to wade across the river. There was no bridge. And so I found the river easily. I'd swum in the river before. I knew kind of what to expect. But I came out next to an island, and it was just wading across very easily out to the island. And then I got out to the other side of the island, and the river was deeper and faster. And I thought, I better be careful here. I might get wet. So I put down my shoulder bag, took off my shirt and pants, which is all right there, to go around in your boxer shorts. As they said, in the United States, men wear clothes and women go naked. In Nepal, women wear clothes and men go naked. So no one would be offended if they saw me. And I started wading across the river. And as out in the middle, I stepped into a hole. And I found myself like this, doing a side stroke down the river. That didn't scare me too much because I'm good at the side stroke. But all of a sudden, wham! A big boulder hit me in the hip. It was like someone had slugged me as hard as they could. I go, oh, that was unpleasant. And then about 10 seconds later, wham! Another boulder hit me in the chest. And I thought, you know, a guy could get killed out here. So I remembered what Carlos Castaneda wrote. He was told by a shaman named Don Juan, said that when death comes to call upon the warrior dances. And he dances until death gets bored and goes away. And I thought, if I can just turn around, get my feet downstream, I can use those to absorb the shock of the boulders and use them like stepping stones. And just kind of get across the river more or less safely. And I managed to do that. And I got to the edge of the other side of the river and I turned around and looked, and there is my shoulder bag, and there is my shirt, and there is my pants on the other side of the river. And then I looked up the river, and there's a mom and dad and 2 little kids about 200 yards away going through the water about knee deep. I go, I picked the wrong spot. So I walked 200 yards up, crossed the river, and came back and went on my way. Now, the other story I wanted to tell about a swing and a miss, the only dancing involved was my brother and I doing an aerial pas de deux. I was 14, my brother was 12, and we were visiting our cousin who was 13 out on their farm, and we went out swimming in the pond. And then his 16-year-old brother came by in his grandpa's brand new pickup truck and said, "Hey, I got to go to town on an errand. You want to come along?" "Oh, yeah, sure." So we all eagerly ran in and jumped into the jaws of death. A 16-year-old and with a brand new driver's license and a brand new pickup truck are a dangerous combination. So we got out to the end of the lane, and I've got to introduce some other characters to this story. My brother and I were sitting in the bed of the truck. With us were a 5-gallon gas can, metal one, a .22 rifle, and a double-bitted axe. That's the one that's sharp on both sides. So my cousin took off down this gravel road, and the first curve was downhill and slightly to the right, and he skidded a little. I thought, oh, he's just showing off. And then my inexperienced driving cousin turned the wrong way on the skid, which meant that the second skid was all across the road. And my brother and I landed on our backs. We set up, and the gas can was rolling around, but the .22 and the axe were spinning around in the back of the bed. And I yelled out, "Hey, cut that out!" And as soon as I said that, we went into the third skid. And the third skid turned the truck around so the back end was going the direction that the truck was going in. We went off an embankment, and the truck landed on the passenger side door. Now, exactly what kind of contortions it did to land like that, I don't know. But I've always wanted to know what it would be like to fly without any conveyance. All I remember this time was a big green blur. But my brother and I were lucky. We could have hurt ourselves by landing in the gravel, but there were some convenient thorn bushes growing right next to the road. So we got about 100 scratches, but otherwise we got out with any serious injury. I saw my brother wake up, and then we looked at the truck and saw my cousins walk out of the truck through where the windshield used to be, because the truck was on its side. And they walked out, and everybody seemed to be okay. But then we looked around for our cargo. The 5-gallon gas can was now a 3-gallon gas can. The .22 flew through the air, landed barrel first, and the stock was snapped off right at the handle. And the axe went through the air as well. Apparently landed on the handle, landed on the head, but the handle was broken off, right behind the head of the axe. So we counted ourselves very lucky. Proof indeed that the Grim Reaper took a good swing at us, but swung and missed. Thanks.